Hello dear friends, good morning and welcome to my kitchen garden, Sara's kitchen garden in south of Sweden. It is spring. Finally it is spring, and I have entered the third day of my project with the one live stream each day at my YouTube channels. This is the English channel, Sara's Kitchen Garden, and I also have a Swedish one, since I am Swedish. And I have had the most incredibly wonderful, amazing morning, like ever. First of all, it is like lunchtime now in Sweden, but I guess some of you watching from the United States and Canada almost, well, maybe you are practically asleep, but good morning to you who wake up this very moment. I am now, as I said, in my polytunnel, and I have spent hours and hours here this morning together with friends to do a photo session for a project that we will present next week. And I wanted to start in here. Good morning, Ann-Katrin. Just to show you the amazing plants that I have carried out. Some of them, the plants behind me, are overwintered plants of like lettuce and stuff like that from the polytunnel, but some of it I have carried out from my indoor gardening, because now when I check the weather app, it is nice spring temperatures like 10 days ahead, both days and nights. So that's why I am very happy. And as you can see, I put my makeup on today. This is how I look when I am going to be, well, in front of a camera. I will now turn the camera so you can see this sort of table. Doesn't it look amazing? Yummy, yummy. I see food, you know, I get hungry when I see this. This is the lettuce, Little Gem. It's one of my favorites. This is a very tiny lettuce that I bought seeds from the United States. I will tell you more about that in another video. This is one of my favorite lettuces, Segolene. It's a small, tiny Roman lettuce. All of this is, they are overwintered in the polytunnel. And this is cabbage, you know, with the pointed heads. And this is early Jersey Wakefield. And hopefully you will get to see a video translated to English soon, where you can follow those cabbages from seeds to harvest. This is a series that I do in my Swedish channel, right? And here I can't remember the name. Is that broadcast sowing maybe? And this is Rocket. I showed you in another live the other day. Here is one of our 3 cats. Cats are not a very good combination with the garden. But we do have some animals, you know, those bastards living in the soil in my garden beds, digging holes. I don't know the name. Here you can see one of the holes. And cats is a very good way to protect the garden. All right, on the other side, more lettuce. And this is a very interesting variety, I think. This is Intred, and it's like a sister variety to Little Gem, but with red leaves. Right, so here we have a mini pak choi. I will show you and I will taste it in another video. This is Chinese cabbage with pink leaves. Yeah. This makes me so happy to see happy, happy, happy. And I also showed my friends how I harvest leek, and I transplanted some overwintered beet. This is a beetroot called bull's blood, and it's also overwintered. And I harvest it leaf by leaf now in springtime. Phew, it's so nice. I have, dreamed of this moment for weeks and weeks. I would say we are like 4 weeks behind schedule after this long winter. So usually by this time the polytunnel will be all green, tasty and nice. But it will be a few other weeks until we are there. I had some questions the other day. I will have to go back. It was about winter sowings in those plastic boxes that I make. And some of my YouTube friends wanted to see more how I handle the plants when they have grown up a bit. But as you can see, the Swedish winter have been very cold, so nothing started to germinate yet. Nothing exactly. It's not that satisfying. What I can see here are some, I don't know the English name for this. It is actually a weed, but I grow it to harvest the leaves. But when you sprinkle the seeds quite tightly over the surface. And I can show you here with some onion. This is an example. And I also have, let's take the cabbage. This is a baby variety of Chinese cabbage. I always check for like the tiny varieties because I think they are perfect to grow early in the season and also late in the season because they grow quicker than the bigger varieties. I lost my sound? Really? Sorry about that. Is it back? Hopefully. Say something if you can hear me or if you do not hear me, please. Yeah, good. Thank you, Maria. I hear. Good. So then we are back, and I just wanted to tell you how I do, because that was the question. What do I do and how do I handle the plants when they are grown up a bit? And this is a small container, but this is how it looks in the bigger containers as well. But this is not that many plants. This sowing, the plants are too tiny to transplant. I wait until they look, don't know if I have anything to show you that size. No, they are, yeah, I might show you this. This is another variety of a Chinese cabbage. And I think the small plant here is a good example. You see this one? It lost the first leaves. I don't know the name of this in English, but in Sweden we call it hjärtblad. And this is the more characteristic leaf for this variety. And when those leaves start to, when they get bigger, it is time to transplant this little plant. So in this case, I would wait until those leaves get a bit bigger, because then the stem is not so fragile. It is very easy to break the stem if you transplant it too early. And the question I had was how to do this when or before the roots get so tied together that it might the plant might hurt when separating them. And it's really not a problem to separate cabbage and kale plants from each other when they grow tightly. So I rather wait for the leaves to grow a bit bigger, so the stem can take the handling, so to say. What I do, it's a tip for all of you, to if you know that you are going to transplant them soon, if you do not water the plants, the soil will get a bit dry, and then it is easier to separate them than if the soil is like wet. So it's the same with tomatoes and potatoes and everything that you want to transplant if the roots are tied together. So you just leave the plants to dry for 1 or 2 or 3 days, and it will be easy to separate them. I can try to show you later on how to do this, and I'm sure there are videos already showing you when I transplant the cabbage and the lettuce, for example. It's very, very easy. What I do with the onions that are broadcasted like this is that onions and leek and like different types of leek and onions, I wait until the plants get a bit bigger, and then I cut the tops, and then the roots and the lower parts of the plant will get bigger and easier to handle. And then I'm doing this twice before I plant them outdoor in the main kitchen garden. It is easier to handle them as well. They will not break and so on. So it's easier for me to show you later on, but today I just carried all the plants out, and this is I will not bring them in back in again. I will leave them here, and I will cover them with a fleece nighttime. Yeah. I just had to show you this because it makes me happy, and it's a part of my garden, you know, the feeling. I have had a terrible headache for a few days, so I have been a bit sad. So this was really, you know, to start a week over again. I did a live stream yesterday. It was a terrible weather. It is warmer today and nicer. And one of the comments I had yesterday, when I said something about being a bit embarrassed about how it looks in the garden, I had amazing support from my viewers, and I'm so happy about it. And someone commented about the fact that it's very clearly that my kids are being out in the garden playing, and they are playing kids games, and I allow them to do the kids things. But on the other hand, this is how it looks when kids are allowed to play in a garden. Excuse me. Yeah. So this is our backyard, and I'm sure that this will make some parents, well, not afraid, but excuse me. My kids are allowed to play in the whole backyard, and I am allowed to play in our front yard. And basically that means that I try to do nothing at all in this place. And we have 4 children, and me and my husband, we work part-time, both of us, to be able to be home with our children. They go to school, of course, and one of the children go to a preschool. Sorry. But to be able to do this, I mean, it's like a full-time job being home with children. You know, you have to cook all the time, you have to do the laundry, you have to do everything, and it's tiny minutes each day where you can sit down or do something for that's only for myself. I know you all reckon that. So I don't think that I have time to clean up the mess in the garden, because when I have the time to be out in the garden, I want to do things that makes me happy, right? So this is what we end up with. And I think that when I look back on the time I spent at home with my children, I will remember this, but I will not remember this as a total mess. I will remember all the good times I had with my children, and I will remember standing in our kitchen. This is our kitchen, looking out through the window, seeing my 4 children between nearly 2 years old and 9 years old playing together. And this is how children play together. As you can see, we do not have like toys. There are very few toys in here. They play with like leftovers. And this is their restaurants. They make cookies and they sell it to me and others. And it's just amazing to look out through the window and see how engaged they are in their play. And one of the most important thing, I think, is how they learn to cooperate. They take care of each other, and I hear them talk to each other, they help each other, and they care for each other, and they learn how to do this in their game, in their play. And my experience is that when children have, the toys that you can use in one way, there are several things you can press on a button and sets that the toy do something, but that is the only thing the toy can do. So there's always a fuss and fight about that certain toy. And if they don't have that, if they have like spades, this is what I buy for my children. I buy, tools, and it's good tools, cost some money, but they use it and they play with it, and I think it's fantastic. And on top of it all, they do not only play with it, they learn how to use their body, and they move around all the time. If I should measure, the distance they run by being out in the garden playing for hours and hours, we would all be amazed. And I don't know the English word for it, but small children, when they learn how to use their hands and move things very careful. This is what my 5-year-old daughter did yesterday. She managed to put them in here with a tool. I don't know what it is exactly, but she spent like half an hour sitting here doing this. And to me, this is amazing. I would never come up with the idea of doing this. I will have to ask her when she gets home what it is. I think basically that this is not a dream for every parent, but it is a dream for every parent to have children who wake up in the morning, have their breakfast and say, I'm going out! Are you coming? Yeah, I'm coming! And they spend hours and hours here. And when it comes to like gardening with children, I am very allowing. I don't think the most important thing for my children is that they garden the same way as I do. What is gardening and what could it be? And I think my children have the most amazing way to approach it by doing their thing. And their thing could be, I think I have an example over here in their own garden. I always ask the children, this is actually what one of the kids did. When they interrupted me in another live stream the other day, they asked for water and they made a pond here and he filled it with water, and his bigger brother, he was doing something. They are allowed to use like sharp knives and do you say axe? Yeah. And he made a boat that could swim in that pond. So this is the children's garden. It's all wet here. No, I was looking for a plant. No, I couldn't find it. They plant plenty of things. So I save all the plants that I don't use myself, and I put them in a place and the children can get them to their own garden project. And mostly they get the plants and they plant it in a container, for example, and they use it when building like a store or an industry or whatever they do. And it's just nice to see the plants get, it's like a second life, you know. It was ready for being compost, but it's used in another way, and I think it's just amazing, and it makes me happy. But it is at the same time, it's a bit confusing, because sometimes when the children's friends come here, some of them, they don't know what to do, because they are, it's like, okay, so what are we going to play with? Well, you just play with whatever, or you could go out in the forest, or they play all around here among the trees, and they like to build things and run around, and sometimes they pack their chocolate and cakes or sandwiches, and they have their meal over here somewhere. And I encourage that. I think it's amazing. But mostly some kids get very confused. They don't know how to play. And sometimes it ends up not with a catastrophe, but sometimes I have opened a window, you know, stop, just shouting, because some children get, they don't know what to do, so they start to smash things and destroy things. I don't like that. But most of the time, I remember one time we were going to have a birthday party for one of the boys, and we were going out in the forest to make a fire and eat. And but all the children, they wanted to stay here and dig in that big hole we have in the backyard. The children are allowed to dig in their big hole. So yeah, if you're not allowed to do a big hole in your own garden, it's a nice thing to come to our place. It's really amazing today with the spring temperatures and the snow melted. We were out here yesterday, and one of the things I am very curious about is to see how the carrots survived the winter, if they did. This is where I grew carrots and like root vegetables last year. I should get a spade. I bring you with me, and then I will say goodbye, go indoors and have some lunch with my family. God, I'm happy today. It's a nice day. I told you yesterday about this area in the garden. Oh, this is an exciting thing as well. This is a Japanese onion I keep in here. And it survived winter, and it will be ready to harvest in like May, it says, but not there. Maybe in June. As you can see, I have like garden projects all over the place. It's nice, really. I like the idea of having a place that is totally mine, where I am free to do whatever I like to. And my garden are being quite, you know, exposed in both the web page and in YouTube and in magazines or whatever. And I like that it is this messy. So people know that this is okay as well. This doesn't look too good, actually. This is where carrots and parsnips kept during winter. We have had a long winter and it's nothing left really. Usually I try to sort of insulate the root vegetables by putting hay or leaves on top of the garden bed, but I didn't have time to do it last autumn, so the animals have been here. Oh hey, no, it's all rotten. But the parsnips are all right. I don't know if I can bring one up for you. Maybe the ground is still frozen. No. It's a bit difficult to do it only with one hand. Oh, check this. Hiddly pom, ta-da! I just love this. This is what one can find in ground in Sweden in April. Yeah. Actually, some of my garden friends don't know that one can overwinter parsnips. And really, this must be the most complete place to store vegetables. No job included, except the sowing and yeah. Overwinter parsnips, they grow, they smell lovely. They have a sweet and nice taste and smell. I will bring it in. This was today's live stream from my kitchen garden. Today I am going to have a meeting with Maria. She is the one taking lovely photos for my webpage, sarabachmo.se, soon available in English as well. We are going to discuss how to do with my Pinterest. I have a Pinterest account and hopefully some of you want to follow that. But we have to organize it a bit. If you want to, you can give me a comment on what you would like to see or hear me talk about tomorrow, when I will do another live stream for you. Thank you for today and have a lovely day wherever you are. Bye.